Well, hey, it's DA Wrestling. It's Andrew here. Got some stuff to talk about here. Some interesting things. We're going to talk a little bit of a Slamversary. We're going to talk a little bit of Goldberg, why he's a little pissed. We're going to talk my thoughts on possibly Seth and what's going on there. And we're going to talk also, well, that match that they announced on SmackDown, tag match at SummerSlam. All this and more here on DA Wrestling, Canadian Content Wrestler here, wrestling fan here, and YouTube guy Andrew for DA Wrestling. Let's go. All right, guys. How you guys all doing here? Welcome to the show. All right. This is DA Wrestling, like a newsy thingy we're doing here. All right. Talk a few things here and there. Before we get started, here we go. Make sure you like, share, subscribe down below there, folks. I know it's a small click for you, but it's a really big click for us here at DA Wrestling. We appreciate it all from you guys too. No matter what, the more subscribers we get, guys, the more things we can even start offering you guys too, like t-shirts and stuff that I kind of want to do, But we need to get to a certain magic number for that. But okay, guys, it's all up to you though, guys. We appreciate it all though. Anyway, thank you very much. But let's get started. Okay, so we're gonna talk Goldberg first. So the Saturday Night's main event. Yeah, that was interesting, right? Goldberg has a retirement match against Gunther, right? Got choked out on his back, right? So didn't look very good to begin with. Goldberg, just not to be a. All right, before I get any further with that, well, I don't hate Goldberg. I like Goldberg an awful lot, especially the WCW run he had, and even his WWF run that he had, or sorry, WWE run, in the early 2000s. Right? And stuff he did, he came back, and went against Brock. That was good. But unfortunately, Father Time catches up to everybody here. Right? But Goldberg's a little upset, though, how his retirement match went. Right? He's retired now. He's okay. I guess he's okay with that. But he wasn't. He was upset with how the build was. Still felt he could have been a little bit longer. Like he could have came back. Said he mentioned on the Air Hawaii show, he could have came back in January. Said, "Hey, I'm here. Here we go." Bill, we love you. All of us who grew up in the in the '90s and the early 2000s, who saw you wrestle and all that stuff, love you to death. But it's a little too late for this point here. At this point, as far as your wrestling career goes, unfortunately, as much as you can get, as much as you could do at this point in time, you can't do much this time either, man. You're 58 years old, right? Even the Undertaker wants to come back. You can tell it has that itch in his feeling. He has an itch that he wants to come back and do it again. He can't, right? But you're pissed about it because you've gone out better. Maybe what'd you do? Want a title run? If that was the case, you could have went to AEW. Because AEW apparently offered you a big thing too. You thought it was too cheesy at the time to go. Well, on you then. Apparently, would give you a nice strong run, a good long solid run into retirement. Kind of similar to what they did with Sting. But you didn't want to do that. It's kind of on you, right? But hey, we all wish you the best retirement. Frankly, Goldberg, unfortunately, the 3 weeks they had build up, yeah, it could have been maybe a little bit longer, 100%. But you got a retirement match. That's what you wanted, right? It's not something that you could really you weren't gonna get a title run out of it. I know I predicted possibly you could possibly win it, yeah, because that's the part of me that's saying, hey, Goldberg, I'd like to see Goldberg have maybe a little title run to live back, a little bit of the childhood, the teenage years. But in reality, it just wasn't good. It wasn't going to happen. Let the stars shine. This isn't where Vince doesn't need to bring people. They don't need to bring the people back there. They backed you back out of the fact that you have still a little bit of a contract. You want to retire as they gave it to you. Simple as that. Pardon me. But hey, we appreciate you, Goldberg, for the things that you did. We appreciate the fact that we got to have your last match. Might not have been the best match on the planet. That's fine. We'd be happy about it, Nick Nemeth apparently said, too, he should be more grateful about it. And I kind of agree with Nick Nemeth on this. I don't agree with Nick Nemeth really on anything half the time. But hey, he has a valid point. You should be grateful that you got a chance to do your retirement because a lot of guys just go don't get retirement at all. They don't. You know, like Edge had a retirement match years ago, but it wasn't really a retirement match. He didn't know he was going to have to retire. Luckily, his neck got better. And he was able to come back. Unfortunately, you're not in that same situation. Not everybody gets a retirement match. It happens. You know, but my point is, Goldberg be a little more happier about it. And quite frankly, you shouldn't be that pissed about it anyway. You did get a match no matter what, which is great. You guys see one last time. You have to do it in Atlanta, right? You're home away from home. You're home in general, right? All the best to you going forward, my man. That's it. Probably could have been better, absolutely. But hey, this is where we are on it. No point being pissed off about it. I mean, you should not be too bitter about it like Bret Hart is with you. I mean, seriously. Anyway, moving on. So Seth, as we all saw here on Saturday's main event there too, Seth Rollins seems to have tweaked his knee and he seems to be out. He was reported being on crutches at Evolution or Evolution or whatever you want to call it. Right? Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying he's not hurt. But there is a fair amount of time to SummerSlam. It's a few weeks. A certain person who's had a feud with over the past, well, since he's come back, is in the title match against Gunther at SummerSlam. Now, is it possible? Now, considering what we saw at Evolution, let's put this in perspective here, right? Everyone's saying he's going to be out significant time. Seth's saying he's going to be out significant time. What if they're working everybody? What if Seth just stays away now for the next 3 weeks? And all of a sudden, Punk wins at SummerSlam, and then Seth comes out of nowhere and cashes in on him. Using crutches to beat the crap out of him with it. To get that title shot. To get the title cashed in. What if that's the case? I mean, nobody saw Naomi. Maybe we need to start thinking this a little differently here, folks. Right? Figure out what the obvious will probably be, and then think the other way. So we obviously thought that Naomi was all going to cash in on Stratton. What if right? We saw Naomi end up going onto Raw instead. Cashing in on Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. Or Io. What if Seth's just working everybody? I don't want to take away from his injury. Because it probably could very well be, and probably is legitimate. But what if it's not? Or what if it's not as bad as made out to be? It's entirely possible, folks, that Seth Rollins and the WWE are working everybody to get everybody's mind off the fact that he might not cash in. He has a year to cash in. He's right. He has till June. They said that on Raw. But what if that's just a distraction? What if Seth Rollins cashes in on CM Punk? Not the first time he's cashed in at a big show. But we all go back to WrestleMania. It's possible, folks. I'm no doctor. I haven't seen any medical reports. I've seen any of those things there. But considering what happened with Naomi, and the swerve there, what if they're swerving everybody here at the Punk thing? Or even better, what if Seth actually doesn't cash in on Punk and just goes after Cody? Because Cody's facing Cena at SummerSlam. What if Seth Rollins and everybody thinks he's going to cash in on Punk at some point, but instead goes after Cody? Or, like I said, maybe he's not hurt. Or maybe it's not as bad as they seem. Yes, he has a history of knee problems, 100%. But what if it's not as bad as it seems? Food for thought, right? We'll see what happens with Seth. Obviously, SummerSlam is a few weeks away. A lot can happen in the next few weeks. We'll go from there. Now, my thoughts right now on the Cody Rhodes, sorry, not Cody Rhodes, wrong subject. Randy Orton and Jelly Roll versus Logan Paul and Randy Orton. I kind of made mention to this when I was talking to Doug on Monday night. We were talking about the Evolution and recap stuff on Monday night with that video. Let me ask you something. Do you guys think it's a good idea to have Jelly Roll and Randy Orton versus Drew and Logan Paul? I personally don't think so. I think it's an absolute waste of 20 minutes that they're going to pull in on SummerSlam and waste the crap out of time. When that time can be filled with something else. Like Orton versus Randy again, like in a cage. Or, you know, even Drew doing something else with somebody else. Or Randy, putting Randy into like the title match. You know? Like, I don't see why they have to do these celebrity things. I understand why you want to do like, gets more eyes on people. Like Logan Paul, like this is really about Logan Paul. Logan Paul's a good wrestler. I'm not the biggest fan of Logan Paul in the slightest, but the guy's a good wrestler. He really is. It's the Jelly Roll part that bothers me. Yes, he's training all this stuff, right? But do I see him doing stuff that a Bad Bunny did? A Bad Bunny's like a freaking angel for that point, right? I just don't see. I feel we can put better things towards this. I was not a fan of this Randy Orton and Jelly Roll teaming up against Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. I'd rather see Drew McIntyre fight Logan Paul, fight Randy Orton. If you want to have Jelly Roll be a referee, sure, even better. I'm okay with that. We don't need a tag match. Not the slightest. There's no point to it. There really is no point to it. It's just it's a time filler. Like I said, give me Randy Orton versus Logan Paul versus Drew McIntyre. For sure, you'll figure out a better way of that. But instead, we're getting Randy and Jelly Roll versus Drew and Logan Paul. It's like to me, that's like if I'm there, I'm going to the pee break. I just am. I just don't find it appealing. Nothing about that match is appealing to me at all. At all. That's literally when probably I'm going to just go order pizza or something at that point in time. Seriously. Or maybe the pizza guy arrives, I could just miss maybe like 20 minutes by having a chat with the pizza guy about like how deliveries are going. Having had a lot of pizzas delivered today. He just has no interest in me at all. Yeah. So I'll put my thoughts on it. If you don't like my comment, if you think that's too much hate, great. Entirely opinionated thing. Some people I'm sure will love the fact that Jelly Roll and Logan Paul are in these matches. I'm sure some people will love it. I personally think it's a waste of time. I think we have to vote. I think we have to vote Randy Orton to something better. Same with Drew. Even Logan Paul. At least he's a good wrestler. Has proven it. But I know it's not unheard of for the WWE. They do celebrity matches. I almost say semi-regularly. But we don't need to have it. We really don't. Especially if you want to do something like that, you can put it on some kind of other, on a B-level pay-per-view, a PLE. Not SummerSlam. Seriously. Not SummerSlam. Anyway, moving on. This Sunday's Slammiversary, TNA. I know we're going to talk some TNA here. Don't always talk about TNA. We talked about TNA a few times here, but nobody really cared about it that much. So I'm going to bring it back a little bit here. So this Sunday's TNA Slammiversary. Couple of things we should probably have to look out for. There is talk that AJ Styles will be appearing at TNA. Now, apparently, TNA has mentioned they are going to be probably bringing back the Hall of Fame thing they have. To which my response being having AJ Styles inducted into it. Because he's like the one guy who should be in it, who's not in it because he left. So, is AJ Styles going to be there? Are they going to have AJ Styles do one last run? I hope so, because I think it'd be a great time for a lot of people. Especially longtime TNA fans. Or longtime AJ Styles TNA fans. Also, last anniversary. We have Moose versus Leon Slater for the X Division title. I'm going to say Moose is going to win that. But I wouldn't be surprised if Leon Slater does. But I'm going to take Moose. Joe Hendry versus Trick Williams versus Mike Santana. Now, I know what you're thinking here. Is it possible they're going to put the TNA title back on? Is Trick going to retain? And they're going to put the title back on Santana or Hendry. I'm taking Santana. I think this is where they're going to do that. I think they're going to put the title. They've had Trick Williams have the title for a little bit. It's been nice and fun and glorious. But I think Mike Santana is going to over Joe Hendry. And you're going to start a feud between Joe and Hendry. Maybe turn Joe Hendry heel. Maybe it might be a better idea. Right? Because Mike Santana is just loved. But the other one I want to talk about, though, is Slamovich versus JC Jane. It's title for title. The women's NXT title versus the TNA Knockouts title. Now, you know I just said that Trick Williams is probably going to lose that match? It's hard-pressed to see... Now, they have a relationship with TNA, the WWE. But it's hard-pressed to say Trick Williams is going to retain and then JC Jane is going to win the Knockouts title. It's hard-pressed to say that. Because it almost sounds very one-sided after that. Just looks... The TNA relationship just sounds very one-sided. It's almost like, then what's the point of TNA if nobody from TNA is going to win ever, or especially a major title from the WWE? The WWE guys are just going to always just win these titles. What if Slamovich beats JC Jane and walks out with the NXT title and the Knockouts title? She just kind of just won that belt back, didn't she? Right? I mean, I know I said Joey Grace versus like JC Jane, and JC Jane is going to lose to Joey Grace, but Joey Grace lost due to Blake Monroe. But if Trick Williams wins or loses that title or retains that title over Santana and Hendry, who's to say that Slamovich is going to win? It almost evened it out, right? It would almost even it out. Unless they do the opposite way. Mike Santana wins the TNA title, and then Slamovich loses the knockout title. Then I can see JC win it. And I think it's going to base it, I think, on depending on who wins what. So obviously the Slamovich match versus JC will be before the main title match, the heavyweight title match. That's where we're going to see it. If JC Jane walks out as the TNA Knockouts champion, look for Mike Santana or Hendry to win. Simple as that. That's what I'm predicting. Watch one of those two, and whoever wins, loses out, it's going to be the winner. That's what we're thinking we're going to do there, folks. But hey, Slammiversary this week too. This Sunday, right? We do have that match. We have the other two matches I mentioned. Also, we're going to have the Hardys in a tag team match with the Nemesis against AJ Francis' own group, and the Rascals, right? We're also getting Mustafa Ali versus Cedric Alexander, all right? Indy Hartwell, who's in now TNA, right? Is going against Tessa Blanchard in a nice match. So, a lot of fun this Sunday on TNA. Should move to Saturdays. They really should. Like everybody else started to do that now too. Move to Saturdays. Just easier. Anyway, guys, that's what I think of that one there. That's the show for today. Thanks for watching. This is DA Wrestling. Make sure you follow us on all our things, all our socials there. Right? On X at DA Wrestling. Right? DA Sports on TikTok. Right? Follow us and subscribe and follow on YouTube, Podbean, as well as Spotify. We thank you very much for this work, guys. See you soon. Talk to you then.